Hey there, Robert Talbert here at Grand Valley State University. I'm an associate professor of mathematics, and I'm also a blogger for the Chronicle at Casting Out Nines. So we've been asked to think about and respond to the idea of LectureFail, about whether lecture should be improved, totally cast aside, or whatever. You know, I do a lot of teaching. I teach about 10, 11, 12 hours a week, and I blog a lot about and think a lot about lecturing and its alternatives at Casting Out Nines. And I've come to believe that it's not really about this teaching method or that, or about lecturing versus not lecturing. Really, the only things that are important for me in a classroom are three things. First of all, whether students are mastering the learning objectives of the course, whether students are improving as lifelong learners, and three, whether students are becoming passionate or at least a little curious about the subject. And to the extent that any teaching method moves students closer to those goals, or one of those goals, that teaching method works and ought to be kept around. And to the extent that it does not, then it needs to be supplemented or rethought or just completely replaced. Now, what I think we are learning as teachers and through research, both educational research and some of the neuroscience and other scientific research, is that lecture is often a really poor choice to implement to get students closer to those goals. Certainly, at least by itself, and oftentimes even when in combination with other teaching techniques, this doesn't really work so much. So we tried these different things. I read a lot about my affinity for peer instruction, for the inverted classroom. But really, it's all about you should use whatever combination of teaching methods works for the students that you have in front of you for that one class period. And different students will have different needs. The same group of students will have different needs at the beginning of the hour in the same class meeting than they will at the end of the hour in the same class meeting. So to frame the question in terms of lecture versus non-lecture seems to be missing the point a little bit. What we want to do is focus on learning objectives and upon students' lifelong learning goals and whether we're making them passionate consumers and producers of knowledge. So what should colleges and universities do? I don't think getting rid of the lecture is really the right approach, because again, it's not so much about the teaching methods here. It's about the students that we are working with and what we want them to become and be as human beings. I do think there's three things that universities could do. First of all, we could get away from traditional course evaluations. Traditional course evaluations tend to incentivize judging professors based on personality and how we come across, which incentivizes lecture because it gives you a perfect platform to come across really well. Instead, this is something that we can do here at Grand Valley, and I think that other institutions would be interested in this as well. And as instead of using course evaluations, allow professors to collect evidence, scientific, objective evidence of improved student learning using their learning techniques, and if need be, either supplement or completely replace course evaluations with scientific studies of how students have actually improved and had learning gains through instructional techniques. Prove that your methods are effective. If the thing that really matters is student learning, then let's talk about that. Another thing the universities could do is support teaching that does take educated risks, and many of the things such as the inverted classroom model that I blog about entail a great deal of risk, and there is the high potential of student backlash for things that are not lecture, as much as the videos and the original Chronicle post tend to portray students as being very interested in getting away from lecture. My experience has been completely the opposite. A lot of students are very fearful of getting away from lecture, and they want professors to lecture because it's very comforting to them. And when we get away from lecture, there's a great deal of pushback on that front. So support teaching and support professors that take these educated risks, and to whatever extent we can, especially try to insulate untenured faculty and adjunct faculty from student criticism if the techniques are proven to be effective, which goes back to the first point of letting teachers present scientific evidence of effectiveness of teaching techniques. Finally, institutions could just set an institution-wide agenda for innovative teaching that does lead to effective learning, and shift the focus from teaching to learning. I think that's the main goal. Great discussion we're having. Thanks a lot.